Welcome to Cheater Secrets. Let's dive into today's story. It began on a quiet Thursday evening, sometime around 8. Wanda walked into the kitchen, her arms tightly folded against her chest. The look on her face, and that familiar sharp tone, told me exactly what was coming. It was the same tone she always used when our daughter Lily wanted something she knew I wouldn't approve of. "Robert," she started, voice careful but clipped. "Lily's friends are heading to a lake party this weekend. It's just 2 hours away. She'll be staying overnight." I didn't even glance up from the counter. I was kneeling there working on the same cabinet hinge that always seemed to come loose. "She's 17, Wanda," I said flatly. "It's a school weekend. I don't know those kids, and I'm not agreeing to an overnight trip out of town." She let out a sharp, bitter laugh. "You always have to control everything. She's not a child anymore." "I'm not controlling," I replied evenly. "I'm being a parent." Then she hit me with it. One sentence cold as ice. "You'll never be her real dad." "Stop pretending." Silence filled the kitchen. I froze where I was, staring at the half-fixed cabinet door. It's strange how one sentence can make 10 years of effort feel completely wasted. The air around me felt smaller, tighter, like the walls themselves were closing in. Wanda stood there, arms still crossed, waiting for me to explode. When she realized I wouldn't, she simply turned and walked out. Her footsteps echoed down the hallway until everything went still again. I placed the screwdriver on the counter, stepped outside, and took a deep breath. I remember thinking that something inside me had quietly switched off. Not broken, just done. That was the exact moment our marriage ended. She just didn't know it yet. The next morning, I heard voices drifting from the kitchen. Wanda's, Lily's, and another that I recognized immediately. Marjorie, Wanda's mother. I stopped halfway down the hall as the sound of laughter reached me. But it wasn't warm laughter. It had that cutting, mocking edge people use when they're talking behind someone's back. "She's finally standing up to him," Marjorie said, her voice muffled but clear enough. Wanda snorted. "Oh, please." "He acts like he's the only adult in the house." Then Lily added her piece, casual and cruel. "He's not even my dad. He just pays for stuff and thinks that makes him in charge." I stood frozen. The words didn't surprise me after last night, but hearing them wrapped in laughter, that stung in a way nothing else could. "He'll get over it," Wanda said. "He always does. He loves playing the martyr. That was enough." I turned around and went back to our bedroom. Sitting on the edge of the bed, I looked around the room that had been mine for a decade. 10 years of work. Savings and late nights fixing this house, thinking I was building a family. Turns out, I was the only one who believed that. There was no shouting, no slammed doors, just a calm realization. By the time I stood up, my thoughts were no longer emotional. They were practical. I'd call Grace Park, the lawyer who handled our prenup. I'd reach out to Tyra, the realtor who helped me buy the townhouse before I met Wanda. I'd make sure every account, every transfer was clean and final. There wouldn't be arguments or accusations. They could have what they wanted, a life without me, and I'd take what I needed. Peace. I didn't go to work that day. I called my foreman, told him to handle the crew, and stayed home. Upstairs, I pulled 2 suitcases from the closet and started packing. Shirts, jeans, toiletries, and a few framed photos of my parents. Everything else. The furniture, the gifts, the memories, felt like evidence from a life that no longer belonged to me. By noon, I was on the phone with Grace. "Grace," I said, "I need to move quickly. I want the house listed for sale." She hesitated. "The one you bought before the marriage?" "That's the one." "Then you're fine. It's legally yours. I'll handle the paperwork. Should I contact a realtor?" "I already have someone." Next, I called Tyra Coleman, an old client turned friend. "I need to sell my townhouse," I told her. "As soon as possible." "Are you and Wanda separating?" she asked softly. "Yeah," I said. "It's time." She agreed to bring the listing forms that afternoon. Then I dealt with the finances. I moved my paychecks into a private account. The joint account stayed open, enough to cover 1 more month of bills, groceries, and Wanda's car insurance. After that, they'd be on their own. When everything was set, I walked into the kitchen, pulled a notepad from the drawer, and wrote one short note in clean block letters. You're right, I wrote. I'm not her real father, and you're not my real family. I folded the note neatly, set it right in the middle of the kitchen counter, and took one final look around. The house was spotless, quiet, still, unnervingly calm. Then I picked up my bags, locked the front door behind me, and drove across town to Theo's place. He opened the door, took one look at me, and didn't ask a single question. He just nodded toward the spare room and said, "Stay as long as you need." For the first time in a decade, I didn't feel trapped. I felt free. The for sale sign was up by the next morning. Tyra texted me a photo of it to confirm. 10 minutes later, my phone began to ring. Wanda. I let it buzz until voicemail picked up. Then came the messages. First confusion, then anger. "What is this, Robert? Are you trying to scare me? You can't sell our house." That word, our, almost made me laugh. When she called again, I finally answered. My voice was calm. "It's not our house, Wanda. It's mine. Check the prenup. You can't just throw us out," she snapped. "Lily lives here. Her school's here. I left enough in the joint account to cover the bills for this month," I replied quietly. "After that, you'll need to manage things on your own." There was a pause, followed by a sharp breath on the other end. "You're heartless." "No," I said. "Just done." That afternoon, Grace forwarded me an email from a law firm, Wanda's new attorney. The message demanded I stop the property sale, restore her access to my finances, and pay compensation for emotional distress. Grace's reply was short, 2 paragraphs at most. She attached a copy of the prenup and the deed proving I'd purchased the townhouse 5 years before the marriage. Her email ended with one clean line. "Any further contact will be considered harassment and treated as frivolous litigation." By evening, the messages turned from angry to desperate. Wanda's mother, Marjorie, left a voicemail accusing me of abandoning my family. I deleted it halfway through. Then came a text from Lily. "No greeting, just entitlement. You still owe me for my car insurance and my phone bill. You promised to help with college." I stared at the screen for a moment before replying. "Talk to your mother." "I'm not your father." Her response came fast. Insults, rage, words meant to hurt. I didn't read them. I blocked her number. Then Wanda's. That night I sat on Theo's porch, the quiet hum of the neighborhood filling the air. It hit me then. The storm I'd dreaded for years was finally over. The shouting, the guilt, the manipulation, it had already passed. All that remained was silence, and I liked it. 3 days later, Tyra called. "Just a heads up," she said. "Your wife tried contacting one of my clients, said some pretty outrageous things about you." I pinched the bridge of my nose. "What kind of things?" "She told them you're unstable, that you're having a breakdown and can't handle your business." I exhaled slowly. Thanks for the warning. It didn't take long to see where this was heading. That afternoon, one of my biggest clients, a real estate developer who'd hired my firm for several renovation projects, called me personally. Her tone was serious but not unkind. "Robert, could you come by tomorrow morning? I'd rather hear from you directly." The next day, I walked into her office. A folder sat on her desk. "Your wife left a voicemail for my assistant," she said carefully. "She sounded upset." "I can explain," I replied. And I did, clearly, calmly, without emotion. I told her I was going through a divorce, but assured her my personal life wouldn't interfere with work. I handed her updated progress reports, invoices, delivery receipts, and schedule breakdowns. Every number matched perfectly. She flipped through the papers, then looked up at me. "I've worked with you for 5 years, Robert," she said. "You've never missed a single deadline. Just deliver the project. The rest is noise." That was all. And walking out of her office that day, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Relief. Wanda's attempt to ruin my name had failed. Instead, she'd reminded people why they trusted me in the first place. At the same time, Tyra called again. There was already an offer on the townhouse above asking price. Grace confirmed everything and set the closing date for 45 days out. That meant Wanda and Lily would need to move by then. For the first time in 10 years, I felt the ground beneath my feet truly belonged to me. No pretending, no tension. Just quiet progress. And one thing was certain. Wanda hadn't faced the last consequence yet. A week later, I got a call from an unfamiliar number. The voice on the line was rough, steady, and surprisingly calm. "Robert," he said. "Name's Nate Torres. I'm Lily's dad." For a second, I nearly hung up. "What do you want, Nate?" "Wanda told me you kicked her and Lily out, said you took everything. I just wanted to hear your side." We met the next morning at a small diner off the highway. He looked worn down, a man who'd made his share of bad choices and carried every one of them on his face. We sat across from each other in a quiet corner booth, the smell of burnt coffee and bacon hanging in the air. I told Nate everything, from the argument in the kitchen to the laughter that followed, every detail that had cracked my life open. When I finished, he leaned back and exhaled heavily. "Yeah," he muttered, shaking his head. "That sounds like Wanda. She did the same to me. I made my mistakes, sure, but she's an expert at rewriting the story, so she's the victim and everyone else is the villain." He rubbed his jaw thoughtfully. "I'll talk to Lily. She deserves the truth, even if she won't like hearing it." A few days later, Nate called again. His voice was tired. "It didn't go well," he said. "She called me a loser. Said you were even worse." He gave a hollow laugh. "Wanda's got her thinking the world owes her something." Not long after that, Grace sent me the signed buyer's agreement. The sale was locked in. The house would close in a month. Wanda hadn't reached out directly since Tyra had shut her down, but word still found its way to me. Through friends, I heard she'd moved into a small two-bedroom apartment on the edge of town. Her savings were nearly gone. Credit cards maxed out. She'd started working weekends at a salon just to keep the lights on. I expected to feel vindicated, maybe even a little smug. Instead, I felt detached. Like I was watching a movie about someone I used to know. For 10 years, I'd been the one fixing, paying, holding everything together. She'd always assumed I never would leave. But now the tables had turned. Wanda was the one scrambling to hold her life in place, and I was finally free of it. 3 months after the sale finalized, my phone rang again. Another unknown number. "Robert," the voice said, deep and uneasy. "Name's Jordan Pike. You don't know me, but I've been seeing Wanda. Got your number from one of your old contractors. I just need to ask something. I already knew where this was heading." "Go ahead," I said. He hesitated. Did she ever borrow money and not pay it back? Or promise she'd fix something and just didn't? I exhaled slowly. "Yeah, more than once." "Let me guess. She says it's temporary?" He laughed bitterly. "That's exactly what she said. I've already covered her rent twice, paid for her car repairs, and yesterday I found a credit card in my name I never opened." "You're not imagining things, Jordan," I told him quietly. "Get out now. Close your accounts, keep records, and don't give her another chance." He was silent for a moment, then sighed. "She told me you were cold and controlling, that you ruined her life." "I didn't ruin it," I said. "I just stopped paying for it." He gave a short, humorless chuckle. "That explains a lot." 2 weeks later, Tyra called me again. "You'll want to know this," she said. "Your ex's name is going around on a local Facebook group. People are warning others. Something about a small claims case." It turned out Jordan had pressed charges over that credit card. He'd taken my advice. That same week, I got a text from an unknown number. When I opened it, I froze. It was from Lily. Her message was long, unsteady, not angry this time. I saw what Mom did to Jordan. "I get it now. I thought you were the problem, but you were just trying to help. You were good to me, and I didn't treat you right. I'm sorry." I read it twice before replying. "Thank you, Lily. I hope you learn from this. Take care of yourself. Nothing more. Nothing less." For the first time, I believed she might actually change. Wanda wouldn't, but maybe her daughter still could. I set my phone down beside me and went back to work. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized. I didn't even have to show up in court. Grace handled everything. The prenup held firm. Wanda received her portion of the joint savings, just enough to start over. She'd tried to fight for more, but the judge sided with the documents. It came down to simple math. What we'd built together was split evenly. What I'd owned before remained mine. With part of the money from the townhouse sale, I bought a small home near a quiet lake outside the city. 2 bedrooms, a small workshop in the back, and all the peace I'd ever needed. Life fell into a comfortable rhythm. Mornings, fishing at the dock. Afternoons, managing my business from home. Evenings, shaping wood into furniture. The scent of sawdust and varnish grounding me in a kind of peace I hadn't known in years. People sometimes asked if I missed them. I didn't. What I missed was the idea of a family, one that never really existed. One evening, I stopped at the grocery store on my way home. The line was long, so I checked my phone to pass the time. When I looked up, I saw her, Wanda, standing 3 aisles over, a basket of groceries in her hands. Her clothes were simple, her eyes tired. For a brief second, it looked like she might say something. I gave her a polite nod, then turned away. No anger, no resentment, just nothing. Later that night, I sat at my kitchen table remembering that last night in our old house. The creaking hinge, the silence, the moment everything changed. You'll never be her real dad. Stop pretending. She'd been right about that part. I wasn't her real father. But I was the only one who ever showed up, the only one who built something real. Now I build for myself, quietly, honestly, and for once, that's enough. Thank you for watching.